delicious dishes with Daleen. Today I'm going to be making a popular Lebanese dish. It consists of rice, meat, chicken, and a whole bunch of fragrant spices. So let's get started. So I always spray my pans with a little bit of this cooking spray to prevent sticky mess. And I add a little bit of oil. And then turn on the heat. Okay, so the first ingredient I always start with is ground beef, and you just cook it with the spices. So I had already taken out some ground beef and it's defrosted, so it's good and ready to be cooked. So I normally just spread it out, flatten it out to where I can add the spices. Okay, so I flatten it out so it kind of evenly distributes the spices that I add. I first start with a little bit of sea salt. You don't want to add too much because the broth from the chicken will have salt in it as well. And then a little bit of ground pepper, just so it covers all the meat, just like that. And then we have cinnamon next. Again, I really don't measure, it's just by eye and by taste. Usually that's okay though. Next spice I add is the ground allspice. Looks like that's it for that bottle. And then I add a little bit of cardamom. This will give it a really nice scent. Raise the heat a little bit. This ground beef cooked. It takes about 5 or 10 minutes to really cook it thoroughly. You can already smell the spices. It smells so good. Now this dish, it's a Lebanese dish. If you say what it's called in Arabic, it's Djej. But if you translate that directly to English, it means rice and chicken. So it's just really some rice, meat, and I have the chicken already cooked in here and boiled with the chicken broth. Doesn't look too appealing right now, but it has a lot of flavor. However you like to make your chicken broth. Usually I just use the drumsticks with the bone in. I do not add anything without bone because it gives it that more of a flavor in your broth. And you'll be using the broth when you add the rice instead of regular water, because I won't make it so dry. Coming along nicely. Just want to cook it till you make sure there's no more pink or redness in the ground beef. simple ingredients. It's such a popular dish. It's a favorite. A lot of people love it, and it, like, you add what, two cups of rice, and it'll feed a family of 4 for like 2, sometimes 3 days. It's almost ready, as you can see here. You can see a lot more brown than pink and reddish. But I can sure smell all the spices. I feel that's about ready, so I'll turn down the heat significantly. So basically to like low, as low as possible. Just let it cook for a little bit while I take the chicken broth and take out the chicken and strain it. So I just use a strainer, so no big chunks come into the broth. So that was just the onion that gave it that weird color. I added a whole bunch of spices as well to that. So normally what I do is I take out the chicken so I can debone it, because it'll be used later. So as you can see, it's cooked so well that the chicken is falling off the bone easily, and that's what you want. You won't need the onions or any of that else, anything else that's in there. Just the chicken and the broth. All this stuff can be thrown out. Obviously you won't want to use that. But as you can see, you can have a good color for the bone broth, chicken broth, and that's going to be used when you actually cook, when you add the rice instead of normal water. It'll give it a lot more flavor. Okay. So what I do next, I just wipe down the pot on the inside, just because you don't want all that to get on your food. Okay. Then I give it a quick rinse. Quick wash. I'll be using this pot to add the meat and the rice and the chicken broth. See, all done. Bring it over here now. Beef over here. I'm going to add more oil and spray just because I have, I just love using this stuff just in case. You don't want stuff to stick and ruin your pots and be cleaning for a long time. Okay. Raise the temperature probably to about, I don't know, my low is like 0. I put it to like 5 halfway through. So, and I'm going to take the ground beef, empty it, transfer it to this pot. This pot is going to be used again, this pan. Okay, so just give that a little whirl. So I have a family of 4, so basically what I do is I add about 2.5 cups of rice. And my favorite type of rice is Basmati rice. So I just add that to the ground beef. Everything's mixed really well. Then I'm going to bring the broth over here, just so when it starts to sizzle a little bit, that's a good time to add the broth. Come on, I can hear you. I don't know if you guys can hear the sizzle or not. Maybe I should turn it up so you can hear it. Turn up the heat. So that's basically just the ground beef and the rice together, obviously with all the spices that I added to the ground beef when I was first cooking it. But yeah, there's the sound that I'm waiting for. So, to every 1 cup of rice, I add 2 cups of the ground beef, or sorry, the chicken broth. So, 4. So as you can see, the broth is not covering all the rice or all the ingredients, so you want to add a little bit more until it actually does. There. That right there is perfect. So this is right now where I definitely want to turn up as high as possible just to get that quick boil. Give it a couple stir. So you want the broth to boil. Okay. So the water here is starting to boil. It normally takes about 4 or 5 minutes for it to start boiling. So at that point, what you want to do is lower the temperature to the lowest setting and cover it. And then put a timer for about 15 minutes. Okay, so while that is simmering and cooking on its own, I'm going to come over here and debone the chicken for the next part. So, oh, the slimy chicken. So either drumsticks or thighs would work for this broth. You don't want to use chicken breast because it'll end up on the drier side, and yeah, you don't want that. Tastes much better with drumsticks or thighs, basically dark meat. And I'm lucky at this point. I have nobody bugging me, because normally what happens is as soon as I get my hands dirty, somebody wants me to do something or needs something. So let's hurry up. Just, yeah, make sure there's no fat or bones. And your hands get quite messy at this stage. I don't know, some people might want to wear gloves, but I don't mind. Nothing a little soap and water won't handle and fix. And then you can actually feel the texture a lot better and know what's actually fat or chicken, the actual meat. And this brown stuff that you see here is from the cinnamon that I added when I was boiling the chicken. It's not dirt or anything. It's just the cinnamon and the spices that I added to the water. I normally take out 2 packs of chicken, which normally consist of 12 drumsticks, 6 in each bag. Kind of another source of protein that you want, because you just don't want to just be eating rice and a little bit of meat. You want more protein as well. Tastes good. Sometimes what I do, if I don't have a lot of chicken, I'll make this dish and I'll make a side of, I'll throw a salmon in the oven, and that is delicious as well. I think this is about the lengthiest part of making this dish, the deboning. But it's worth it. No complaints from me or from my family. Almost done. We have about 5 left after, or 4 left after this one in my hand. So when you do boil the chicken, you want to add some spices. Some people add onions, some people add like celery, or however you want to make your own broth. It's totally up to you. You don't necessarily just have to use a little bit of spice and some onions, but anything to give the broth more flavor. Usually there's more chicken broth left from this dish, and I make soup out of it, but not this time. Definitely a lot different than using the cubed chicken stock or beef stock. I mean, sometimes it comes in handy, but if you have the ingredients, it'll make the difference. All right, 2 more after this. And the meat shop that I go to, I actually get them to remove the skin off the drumsticks for me. That helps a lot with the cleaning process and deboning the chicken. Don't gotta worry about the slimy skin fat on the chicken. Almost done. Last one. Right here. As you can see, my hands are a mess. So I'm going to go ahead and wash my hands real quick and get to that chicken. Rice is cooking here with the meat, so I'm going to go ahead and spray the pan, getting it ready for the chicken. Add a little bit of oil again. Now for the chicken, I add only one spice. It's a bunch. Well, I guess it has a bunch of spices, salt, and paprika, garlic, onion, red, bell pepper. This is my favorite to add to the chicken. It gives it a lot of flavor instead of it just being plain boiled chicken. So I'm gonna go ahead and add the chicken. Now you don't want to cook the chicken too long because then it'll start to dry out. So that happened to me once, and what I did to kind of fix the problem is I had a little bit of broth left and I added some to the chicken. But I learned my lesson since then. See, just enough to cover the chicken. Nice little layer. So yeah, usually it takes about a total of maybe 5 minutes to cook. You're just trying to like give it a little flavor, just so it's not plain, just chicken, because this will get mixed with the rice and meat. Some people leave just the chicken after they serve whatever portion they want to have in their plate. They'll add the chicken separately. But what I do is just so everybody gets a good portion of the chicken, I just mix it with the rice. I'll show you once that stage is ready. chicken is looking good, smelling good too. We have 3 minutes left on the rice. And then one more last step that I have before mixing all this together is a nice add-on. You roast these, not roast, a little toast them in a little pan with some butter. It gives an amazing flavor, amazing taste. Nice little add-on to the rice, meat, and chicken, so it's not so plain. I use almonds. You can use cashews, pine nuts. Those are the main three that I'm familiar with. This dish can take. As you can see, and probably hear, I'm not sure, you get a nice little sizzling sound of the chicken. Just want to constantly move them around so they don't burn and dry out. And that's good for the chicken. All they need, because again, they've been previously cooked and you don't want to dry them out. You're just adding seasoning and a little bit of flavor to the chicken so it's not so plain. So this one is counting down over here. Got 47 seconds left. And again, don't be removing the lid before the time is up, because that will ruin the whole process of the rice cooking. Almost there. $20 seconds. I'm getting hungry. All this food. Okay. So there's the timer for the chicken, or for the rice and meat. I want to remove the lid and see how all the meat has come to the top. That's okay, because you can, it smells so good. So you just want to mix it up a little bit. And it looks like there's a little bit of water left in there still. So I'm going to just cover it up a little bit for a few more minutes, just so it dries out. Okay, so I think this should be about right now. Now, as you can see, the beef I used, or the meat that I use, is ground beef. That's the traditional way, traditional ingredients to use is ground beef. I mean, you could always try and experiment with the ground chicken, ground lamb, but this right here is the traditional way it's made. So what I'm going to do now is just move the chicken, empty it into the rice and the meat pot. So okay. Just give it a good mix. That's why everybody gets chicken. Forgot to turn that off. So I'm going to cover it up, and then turn off the element. And what I'm going to do next is roast up those almonds that I told you about. So I just add a little bit of Smart Balance butter, whatever you have. I typically like this. Get that to melt. Not all my family members like the almonds, though. Little one doesn't care for it too much. But I'm sure he'll grow out of that. Okay, so all the butter has melted. Now, I don't usually measure how much almonds to use. I just fill up the pan. But they won't go to waste, trust me. You don't want the element too high on medium heat. You want to constantly be stirring them ever so often so they don't burn, because they burn easily. Noisy pan. Just want to keep them spread evenly so they all get that buttery flavor and they all cook on one side, both sides, not one side. So I would say this takes about, again, 3 to 5 minutes, maybe more, depending on your element, depending on your pans. There's a whole lot of variables. But as you can see, some of them are already getting that color, like right there. I just like to take my time with the almonds because I once did burn them and they tasted awful. So ever since then, I like to watch them closely. Sometimes I use coconut oil. That's another option instead of the Smart Balance butter spread. But again, it's up to you. Again, this is something you do not want to leave unattended because they will scorch easily. Just till they're a little bit golden, brownish, very light brown though. You don't want them to like the color of their, I'll show you, you don't want them the color of their skin there. That's the almond right there. You definitely don't want to let it cook that that long, excuse me. A little shake. Alright, so these almonds are ready. Put them to the side. Normally, what normally happens is once you are ready to serve up the dish, the almonds or whatever nuts you decide to use gets added on top, sprinkled on top. Or some people mix it all together with the rice and chicken in this pot. me, for what works for my family is because not everybody likes the nuts added on, I leave them separate. So this dish is ready. And you can see everything looks so good. See the chicken, the beef, ground beef, and the rice, like 3 simple staples that almost every household has, and you have a delicious meal. This meal is like it's a favorite. I'm telling you, it's a favorite, very popular in our culture, because you know, you have unexpected family coming over or any kind of friends gatherings. You can make a lot of this, and it doesn't take much to make. Like I said, the ground beef, the chicken, and the rice. And then if you have the nuts, that's an added bonus. What you can serve, you know, on the side is a lot of people eat it with yogurt, just plain yogurt, just a little bit of salt, nothing flavored yogurt like with fruit or anything, just plain yogurt. Also, you can try the sweet chili sauce. That is amazing with it too. But again, it can be eaten just like this, you know, with maybe a side of salad if you feel like it. But yeah, this is, trust me, you will want to make this dish. It's very, very easy. And it, yeah, a lot. It makes a lot. That's just 2 cups of rice, and look at that big pot. It's full.